Okay, we're going to talk about FIFO and LIFO under the periodic system. And if you'll turn over to page 320, you can kind of follow along with me. Page 319 and 320 talks about the periodic system. Periodic system means that we're going to count our inventory periodically, which means that we may be in a situation where we're recording purchases and sales transactions throughout the year. However, at the last minute, we're going to capture that actual physical inventory and then we're going to account for it. But what I want you to understand is that the periodic system is actually one of the easiest ones to determine, and we're going to determine basically the same information that we did in the perpetual system. We're just going to look at it slightly different. Now, you can see on Exhibit 5 from page 320, we've got our purchases column, merchandise available for sale, we've got our cost of merchandise sold. And then down here we've got our merchandise inventory that we've captured. This little grid probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to kind of try to put it in a little more easier terms for you. So what I want you to do is I want you to follow along with me on page 320 as we go over this particular material here. And what I've done is I've just kind of set my paper up for the FIFO method and what I'm going to record here. And looking at the information on page 316 where we bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold items, we're still using that same information. But this is how we're going to look at it. Our beginning inventory, and this is under the periodic system, under beginning inventory was $2,000. That was the 100 units that we had at a total cost of $20 a piece. And you can see that again on page 316. Later on, we bought and sold, bought and sold. We had two sets of purchases. One purchase cost us $1,680, another purchase cost us $2,200, and I'm going to add those two together to give myself a total purchase amount of $3,880. I'm going to add these two together to give myself total cost of inventory, and this is going to be $5,880. Total cost of inventory, $5,880. Okay? Now, my ending inventory is shown on that grid on page 320, but it's also shown on the grid under the perpetual system. I was left with 50 units at $21 a piece under the FIFO system and 100 units at $22 a piece under the FIFO system for a total of $3,250 of ending inventory. Now, I'm going to determine what my cost of merchandise sold is, and I'm going to slide this up just a little bit here. I'm going to subtract this out. My cost of merchandise sold ends up being $2,630 under the periodic system, and that's how we determine this. This is very easy. All we have to do is capture what our beginning inventory is, capture the amount of our purchases, determine what our cost of inventory is, or the book actually calls it cost of merchandise available for sale. Either way, take out your ending inventory to determine what your cost of merchandise sold is. So for FIFO, under the periodic inventory system, we still get ending inventory of $3,250 and cost of merchandise sold of $2,630. Let's look at this under the LIFO periodic system. Same information. I'm on page 321 now, Exhibit 6. Follow along in your book. Same purchases, same everything. Our beginning inventory was $2,000. Our purchases were still $3,880 for total cost of inventory of $5,880. We're going to take away our ending inventory. And in this particular case, our ending inventory actually ended up being a little different. In this case, we were left with 30 units at $21 and 100 units at $22 for a total, we were left with 100 units at $20, 50 units at $21 for a total of $3,050. So there's our ending inventory value that we're going to take away here. And to deduct these two, we end up with a cost of goods sold or cost of merchandise sold of $2,830, which is, you can see this information on page 321 in your book. Now, again, the periodic system is a lot less tedious because in this system, we're only recording cost of merchandise at the end of the period. That's why it's so much simpler to capture. However, let me stress here, under the periodic system, you may have some issues. When we only periodically count our inventory, at some point in time you're going to lose things, and you may not have an accurate understanding of where that inventory is being lost at, versus under the perpetual system, you can identify certain things a little easier as far as the accounting side. So again, perpetual versus periodic can be a little different. Make sure that you pay attention to both methods and you rewatch each video as you continue to learn about inventories.